Today we're gonna work through of Geomancy by Agrippa. This is a 16th century text on geomancy, which, as the text itself says, again, this is a text from the 16th century. This is a divination method that could be used to communicate with earth elemental or terrestrial spirits, or with your own soul. Or it could be used in grimoire type magic to communicate with the planetary intelligence or spirit. So today I use a lot of repetition in my videos. Today we're just going to work through this text up to this point, and we're going to go over again the shield chart. So here we go. And again, this text, many believe that this is written by Agrippa, and many also refer to it as pseudo-Agrippa, because this appeared after Agrippa's death. Posthumously, this text appears. So there's some debate. Was this written by Agrippa, or is it pseudo-Agrippa? Either way, this is a 16th century text. It's a text on geomancy from the 1500s, okay? So here we go. It's from around the time, it was written around the time of Shakespeare, okay? It's from an occult book written around the time of William Shakespeare. So here we are. Henry Cornelius Agrippa of Geomancy. Geomancy is an art of divination whereby the judgment may be rendered by lot or destiny to every question of everything whatsoever. But the art hereof consisteth especially in certain points whereof certain figures are deducted, according to the reason or rule of equality or inequality, likeness or unlikeness, which figures are also reduced to the celestial figures, assuming their natures and proprieties according to the course and forms of the signs and planets. Notwithstanding this, in the first place, we are to consider that whereas this kind of art can declare or show forth nothing of verity, unless it shall be radical in some sublime virtue, and this the authors of this science have demonstrated to be twofold, the one whereof consists in religion and ceremonies, and therefore they will have the projectings of the points of this art to be made with the signs in the earth. Wherefore this art is appropriated to this element of earth, even as pyromancy to the fire and hydromancy to the element of water. Then whereas they judge the hand of the projector or worker to be most powerfully moved and directed to the terrestrial spirits, and therefore they first use certain holy incantations and deprecations, with other rites and observations, provoking and alluring spirits of this nature hereunto. Another power there is that doth direct and rule this lot or fortune, which is in the very soul itself of the projector, when he is carried to this work with some great egress of his own desire. For this art hath a natural obedience to the soul itself, and of necessity hath efficacy and is moved to that which the soul itself desires. And this way is by far more true and pure. Neither matters it where or how these points are projected. Therefore this art hath the same radix with the art of astrological questions, which also can no otherwise be verified, unless with a constant and excessive affection of the querent himself. Now then, that we may proceed to the praxis of this art, first it is to be known that all figures upon which this whole art is founded are only 16, as in the following table you shall see noted with their names. Now, here we have an image of the 16 geomantic figures, okay? So Agrippa, or pseudo-Agrippa, gives us a table that shows the 16 geomantic figures, and they are put together into 8 pairs. 8 pairs. So there are 2 figures assigned to each of the 7 planets, plus the north and south nodes of the moon. Therefore, right here, the sun, Solus, the sun, gets both Fortuna Major and Fortuna Minor. A pair of geomantic figures are assigned to the Sun and Leo, Fortuna Major and Fortuna Minor. The Moon, we have Populus and Via. Both of these geomantic figures, Populus and Via, are assigned to the Moon in Agrippa or Pseudo-Agrippa. Interestingly, Agrippa or Pseudo-Agrippa says that Via is the increasing or waxing moon, whereas Populus is the decreasing or waning moon. So that's an interesting detail from this 16th century text on geomancy, okay? Jupiter has Acquisitio and Letitia. Acquisitio and Letitia are assigned to Jupiter, so that's the pair assigned to Jupiter, Acquisitio and Letitia. Okay? Venus gets both Amicio and Puella. Amicio and Puella are both assigned to Venus, so Venus gets a pair. And Amicio is seen as like Venus fortunate, and Amicio could be seen as Venus kind of unfortunate, at least in the sense of like dealing with loss. Okay, dealing with loss is Venus, Amicio. Okay. All right, and Agrippa actually goes into this that Puella is like Venus fortunate and Amicio is like retrograde. Okay, that's what Agrippa or Pseudo-Agrippa says, as we'll read here in the text. Again, we're reading 16th century books on magic. Okay, 16th century books on magic. So here we go. Mercury has both Albus and Conjunctio. Albus and Conjunctio are both associated with Mercury. Albus and Conjunctio. It's interesting that Albus represents wisdom, like the librarian, the professor. Albus is like learning. Think of a teacher or a professor or a librarian, okay, a scientist. Albus is like that aspect of Mercury as learning. Conjunctio is more like the used car salesman. Conjunctio is the aspect of Mercury that could have a trickster aspect, but Conjunctio is the deal maker. It's the crossroads. He makes connections, okay? More of the deal maker and the sales person. Okay, that aspect, Conjunctio. So it's interesting. Albus and Conjunctio are both associated with Mercury. So again, Mercury gets its own duality, Mercury. And Conjunctio is more like the deal maker. Okay, Albus more like the librarian. These two aspects of the archetype of Mercury. Now, and of course that's just one way to look at these figures. There's so many different ways to look at these figures. Okay. And then Mars gets a pair, Puer and Rubeus, okay? Puer and Rubeus are both assigned in Agrippa or Pseudo-Agrippa, assigned to Mars. Puer and Rubeus, all right, is the pair of Mars. And Puer is Mars fortunate, and some look at it as Rubeus is Mars unfortunate. Again, a lot of modern practitioners don't like these terms, but you will see these things and terms used in some of these old manuals, okay? These old, like, Renaissance manuals on geomancy, like we're looking at here. Puer is just Mars' energy and drive and all that. It could be reckless, but Mars' energy and drive. Rubeus is more, could be seen more as destructive. Rubeus, okay? And then Saturn has both Carcer and Tristitia. Carcer and Tristitia are both assigned to Saturn, okay? And they're associated with Capricorn and Aquarius. Carcer and Tristitia both assigned to Saturn. And then the north and south nodes of the moon, the heads and tails of the dragon. So as you see in this graphic of Agrippa or Pseudo-Agrippa, each of the 16 geomantic figures is one of a pair assigned to the 7 planets and the north and south nodes of the moon. Okay, so we have 8 pairs. The 16 geomantic figures are really composed of 8 pairs. All right. So, continuing with Agrippa or Pseudo-Agrippa on geomancy. Again, this book is associated with Agrippa. This book claims to be written by Agrippa. It appeared after Agrippa's death. this book on geomancy by Agrippa. Okay, it's printed. It's one of the 6 tractates that's printed with his 4th book of occult philosophy, the 4th book, which again may or may not have been written by Agrippa or Pseudo-Agrippa's 4th book. But anyways, here we go. Either way, it does date from the 16th century. It's from the 1500s. Now, continuing with the text. Now we proceed to declare with what planets these figures are distributed. For hereupon all the propriety and nature of figures and the judgment of the whole art dependeth. Therefore the greater and lesser fortune are ascribed to the sun. But the first or greater fortune is when the sun is diurnal and posited in his dignities. The other or lesser fortune is when the sun is nocturnal or placed in less dignities. Via and populus, that is the way, and people, are referred to the moon, the first from her beginning and increasing, the second from her full light and quarter decreasing. Acquisitio and Letitia, which is gain or profit, and joy and gladness, are of Jupiter. But the first hath Jupiter the greater fortune, the second the less, but without detriment. Puella and Amicio are of Venus. The first fortunate, the other as it were retrograde or combust. Conjunctio and Albus are both figures of Mercury, and are both good, but the first the more fortunate. Puer and Rubius are figures ascribed to Mars, the first whereof hath Mars benevolent, the second malevolent. Carcer and Tristitia are both figures of Saturn, and both evil, but the first of the greater detriment. The dragon's head and dragon's tail do follow their own natures. And these are the infallible comparisons of the figures, and from these we may easily discern the equality of their signs. Therefore the greater and lesser fortunes have the signs of Leo, which is the house of the sun. Via and Populus have the sign of Cancer, which is the house of the moon. Acquisitio hath for his sign Pisces, and Letitia Sagittarius, which are both the houses of Jupiter. Puella hath the house of Taurus, and Amicio of Libra, which are the houses of Venus. Conjunctio hath for its sign Virgo, and Albus the sign Gemini. The houses of Mercury, Puella and Rubius hath for their sign Scorpio, and the houses of Mars. Carcer hath the sign Capricorn, and Tristitia Aquarius, and the houses of Saturn. The dragon's head and tail are thus divided. The head to Capricorn, and the dragon's tail adhereth to Scorpio. And from hence you may easily obtain the triplicity of these signs after the manner of the triplicities of the signs of the zodiac. Puer therefore both fortunes and Letitia do govern the fiery triplicity. Puella, Conjunctio, Carcer, and the dragon's head the earthy triplicity. Albus, Amicio, and Tristitia do make the airy triplicity. And Via, Populus, and Rubius with the dragon's tail and Acquisitio do rule the watery triplicity. And this order is taken according to the course of or manner of the signs. But if any one will constitute these triplicities according to the natures of the planets and figures themselves, let him observe this rule. For Fortuna Major, Rubius, Puer, and Amicio do make the fiery triplicity. Fortuna Minor, Puella, Letitia, and Conjunctio, triplicity of the air. Acquisitio, the dragon's tail, Via, and Populus do govern the watery triplicity, and the earthly triplicity is ruled by Carcer, Tristitia, Albus, and the dragon's head. And this way is rather to be observed than the first which we have set forth, because it is constituted according to the rule and manner of the signs. This order is also far more true and rational than that which is vulgarly used. And now it starts to get a little wonky, a little weird, okay? Because we used some of so Agrippa gives different ways to associate the signs of the zodiac and all of that. Okay, Agrippa gives different ways. All right? So we went through like the normal way. Like, for example, Carcer and Tristitia are both, Capricorn, Aquarius associated with Saturn. Or Rubius and and Puer both associated with Mars. One is Aries, one is Scorpio, okay? But now Agrippa starts going into some alternative ways, okay? So something important to understand about Agrippa here is that he gives different interpretations. And something important to understand about something like geomancy is that there was no one universal way to read geomancy. Okay? You're dealing with making marks in the ground with a stick and drawing 16 figures. Now, what do those 16 figures mean? You're going to have very many different interpretations and traditions over the centuries. And across a large geography, you're going to have different meanings of the different figures, okay? So that's just a word of warning and just of clarification that now Agrippa is going to talk about some of these other ways of assigning the figures that we do not use in these videos, so it's going to sound a little bit disharmonious. Okay, so because he's giving other interpretations, okay, that have nothing to do with how we do figures. The majority of geomancers today do not follow these definitions, okay, but here we go. This order is also far more true and rational than that which is vulgarly used, which is described after this manner. Of the fiery triplicity are Cauda, Fortuna Minor, Amicio, and Rubius. Of the airy triplicity are Acquisitio, Letitia, Puer, and Conjunctio. Of the watery triplicity are Populus, Via, Albus, and Puella. And Caput, Fortuna Major, Carcer, and Tristitia are of the earthly triplicity. They do likewise distribute these figures to the 12 signs of the zodiac after this manner. Now it gets a little weird. This totally veers off how we normally interpret the figures, okay? But here we go. Acquisitio is given to Aries. Fortuna, both major and minor, to Taurus. See what I mean? Letitia to the sign Gemini. Puella and Rubius to Cancer. Albus is assigned to Leo. Via to Virgo, the dragon's head and Conjunctio to Libra. Puer is submitted to Scorpio. Tristitia and Amicio are assigned to Sagittarius. The dragon's tail to Capricorn, Populus to Aquarius, and Carcer is assigned to the sign Pisces. So what is going on here? Once again, Agrippa is giving totally different interpretations of the figures, okay? So over the centuries, again, there's not going to be one universal way to read geomantic figures. So he's given the other traditions here. And now we come to speak of the manner of projecting or setting down these figures, which is thus, that we set down the points according to their course in 4 lines. So in order to make a geomantic figure, you would take a stick in the dirt or a pen and paper, and you would make a series of dots in a line, okay? And you would do this 4 times, so 4 rows of dots. Keep thinking of your question, or you may ask a spirit. Then you make your 3rd row of dots. You're just making rows of dots in the ground or on paper with pen. 4th row of dot. You got 4 rows of dots. You count up each row. Is it an odd number or even number of dots? If it's an odd number of dots, like 5 or 7 or 9, if it's an odd number of dots, then that becomes 1 dot in your geomantic figure. If it's an even number of dots, then that would become 2 dots. And so by making the 4 rows of dots, you can make a geomantic figure. Like I talked about yesterday, you could actually use a coin. You could use a coin. You can just flip a coin. If it's heads, it's 1 dot. If it's tails, it's 2 dots. So you can flip a coin 4 times and you've got your geomantic figure. Okay. So, but he's saying that we're going to do this 4 times and we're going to have a shield chart. Now, what we're talking about here is going to go pretty fast, but it's because we've already spent hours. We've already, what's it been, like 10 hours of video that we've talked about geomancy. So today we're going to blaze through. Okay, so this is a learning method where every day we get a little bit of a dose, and then finally we're blazing through, okay? We'll think of today as like the final. We're going to blaze through this, okay? This is what you call a shield chart, Okay, this is a shield chart. I talked about this yesterday. So in my earlier videos, I had y'all do a geomantic figure with me. And the geomantic figure is just drawing one figure. Now, this is totally adequate to answer a question. Okay? So y'all that have been doing this with me, you've already been doing geomancy by drawing one figure. That is a way. Ask a question, draw one figure, there's your answer. Okay? That's actually a pretty effective method. Honestly, it's pretty effective. It answers questions, okay? It is totally legitimate. You do not have to do a chart. Now, if you do want to do a chart and you want to have like all these different figures and each place has a certain meaning, okay? For those of you that have worked with tarot, this is like the equivalent of each card has a meaning, obviously, but then there's a spread, okay? Like the Celtic cross is a spread. A chart is like a spread. Each place has a meaning, and you have a bunch of different geomantic figures. So it can give you more elaborate answers to a question than just drawing one figure. Now, to do this, you draw four figures. Four figures, okay? So every day with me, y'all have been drawing one figure. You're going to do that 4 times. 4 times. These 4 figures become the 4 mothers, okay? The 4 matres, the 4 mothers. So, here we go. And now we come to speak of the manner of projecting or setting down these figures, which is thus, that we set down the points according to their course in 4 lines, from the right hand towards the left, and this in 4 courses. There we therefore result unto us 4 figures. These 4 figures are the 4 mothers that we're going to use to make a shield chart, okay? All right. And now we come to speak of the manner of projecting or setting down these figures, which is thus, that we set down the points according to their course in 4 lines, from the right hand toward the left, and this in 4 courses. There will therefore result unto us 4 figures in several lines, according to the even or uneven marking every several line, which 4 figures are wont to be called matres, mothers, the 4 mothers, which do bring forth the rest, filling up and completing the whole figure of judgment. Of these 4 matres, mothers, are also produced 4 other secondary figures, which are called filii, daughters. Okay, the 4 daughters come from the 4 mothers in the making of a shield chart, or succedents, which are gathered together after this manner. That is to say, by making the 4 mothers according to their order, placing them in course one after another, then that which shall result out of every line maketh the figure of filii, daughters, the order whereof by descending from the superior points through the mediums to the lowest, as in this example. Now, here we have a shield chart, and the shield chart, like I said, can be used to do like a full geomantic reading. The top right 4 squares, are called the 4 mothers. And these are just 4 figures. All you do is you draw 4 figures. So, if your method to get figures is to make a row of dots 4 times to get one figure, you do that 16 times altogether because you want 4 geomantic figures, okay? So you get the 4 mothers. The 4 daughters go the top left 4 rows are the 4 daughters. These are produced. The first daughter is produced by the headlines of the 4 mothers. Okay? The second daughter is made from the necklines of the 4 mothers. The third daughter is made from the body lines of the 4 mothers. The fourth daughter is made from the feet lines of the 4 mothers. If this sounds really technical and kind of ridiculous, it's because we've been going through this in this video. In this video, we're trying to break through this, but we're always going to try to make this simple, and we're going to work through this together, okay? So, now we get to the 4 nieces. The 4 nieces is the second row down on a shield chart, the 4 nieces. And what we do is we add the two geomantic figures together. The first two mothers are added together, and if we get an odd or even number of dots in each of the four rows, we draw another figure. So adding the two mothers, you get the first niece. And these three form a triplicity, the first triplicity. They represent the querent, okay? Now, the third and fourth mothers and the second niece that's produced from adding them together, this creates the second triplicity, and this refers to the events in the life of the querent, okay? Now, this could be very exact, okay, very exacting. We're dealing with Renaissance, like magic and Renaissance. This is how you would do a divination in Renaissance magic and communicating with spirits, okay? So, the first and second daughters and the third niece, these together make the third triplicity, and these represent the work and home environments of the querent. And the third and fourth daughters and the fourth niece, these make the fourth triplicity, and these represent the associates, friends, colleagues, authority figures, okay? Now, adding together the first two nieces, you get another geomantic figure, and this is the right judge, okay? And this will represent everything that the querent brings to the situation, okay? It represents everything the querent brings to the situation, and also the past. The third and fourth nieces are added together, and you get the left judge. This represents the quesitant, the situation you're asking about, and it also represents the future. The left and the right witnesses being added together produce the judge, which represent the present moment and also the interaction of the querent and the quesitant. The judge, which is the very last figure itself, represents kind of the answer to the question. It's like as if you just drew one figure, and the two witnesses tell you a little bit more about it. Again, the right witness represents the querent and the past. The left witness represents the quesitant, the situation and the future, and the judge is the present and the interaction between them. There are other methods like the way of the points. You can look at the head of a figure in the judge and see is it a 1 point or 2, and look and see if one of the two witnesses, the top point or headline, is a 1 or a 2 that matches. And then you could follow that on up into the nieces or wherever it goes, and that unveils hidden influences. And then, of course, you have the triplicities. Now, in addition to that, you could also do a house chart reading. And house chart readings really combine a lot of astrology, where you project into the 12 houses of heaven. Okay, so you put your geomancy into the 12 houses of the zodiac. Now, something important to point out is that a house chart is already inside of a shield chart, okay? A house chart already exists in a shield chart. Why do I say that? Because the four mothers also compose the first 4 houses of heaven. The first house, or the ascendant, the second house, or the possessions, the third house, which is communication and things like that. The fourth house, which is the home and family. Okay? The first mother represents the fifth house also, which makes up like joy and fun and children and things like that. The sixth house, the second daughter also makes the sixth house, and the sixth house is the work. The third daughter also makes up the seventh house, which is relationships, and the fourth daughter of a geomantic reading also could be said to represent the eighth house, which is death and sexuality. And then the 4 nieces also represent the last 4 houses of heaven. So we have the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th houses. Plus you have 2 witnesses and a judge. So looked at this way, a shield chart, you have all 12 houses of the zodiac. So you have like a full zodiac chart, natal chart based on the geomantic reading, plus 2 witnesses and a judge. So very good if you want to do a reading for yourself or do reading for a client, do a reading for someone else who wants to try out doing geomancy. It's very simple. So using this method from 4 figures, all you have to do is just make four geomantic figures. Make 4 geomantic figures. These make the 4 mothers. From the 4 mothers, you get the 4 daughters, and their weight you can look up. If you don't understand this video, I do talk about it more in my earlier videos before this one, and you can always Google like how do you find the mothers and daughters and nieces in a shield chart. It's really not as complex as it sounds. There's the 4 mothers, which are the 4 figures you actually drew. From these, you get the 4 daughters, and then the 4 nieces. You add these together, you get the 2 witnesses, and then the judge. Okay, and again, you have the top 2 rows of this make the 12 houses of heaven. So you can, if you ask a question, the very first mother, this is the first house. This always represents the querent. So whatever you're asking about, whether it's about finances or whether you're asking about a relationship, your first house is the querent. The querent always has an impact. You always have an impact in the situation. So you always want to see yourself and the situation, or also said the querent and the quesited. Now, also, each one of these triplicities acts as a right witness, a left witness, and a judge. Okay, a right witness, a left witness, and a judge. Okay, and each one of these. Okay, but this one deals with the querent. The second triplicity deals the first with the events in the life of the querent at the time of the reading, and then the third triplicity deals with home and work environment, and the fourth one colleagues and friends. But as I said, you could also look at what house governs the question. Let's say that you're doing a reading about relationships. Well, you're going to look in the 7th house, and the 7th house would be the 3rd daughter. What's in the 7th house? Or you want to know about that new job opportunity. Well, you're going to look over here at this second niece. That's the 10th house. What does it say in the 10th house? And so that's how you can, within a shield chart, you don't have to make a separate chart. Within a shield chart, you have a house chart plus 2 witnesses and a judge. Okay, so now back to Agrippa. So I'd just like to break that down so that we understand what Agrippa is actually saying in this 16th century geomancy text. And then Agrippa here, what does Agrippa have? Again, this is a text from the 16th century. This is actually the 1655 or 1654 English translation of Robert Turner from the 17th century of the original Latin from the 16th century. Okay, but the original text in its Latin form actually goes back to the time of John Dee. It goes back to the time of William Shakespeare. Okay, very old books on magic that we're reading. Okay, we're doing divination. This could be used to communicate with spirits in a Renaissance classical magic setting and things like that. We're going to break down geomancy. It could be used to communicate with earth spirits or earth elementals. As Agrippa talks about in this book that we're reading, it could be used to talk to earth elementals or to your own soul, according to Agrippa. Now, and then Agrippa here we have the shield chart, okay? This is just another form of what I showed you over here, the shield chart. The horizontal lines represent 2s, and the vertical lines represent 1s, okay? Now, continuing with the text, of these 4 mothers, are also produced 4 other secondary figures, which they call filii, daughters, or succedents, which are gathered together after this manner. That is to say, by making the 4 mothers according to their order, placing them by course one after another, then that which shall result out of every line maketh the figure of daughters, the order whereof is descending from the superior points through both mediums to the lowest, as in the example. And these 8 figures do make 8 houses of heaven. Like I said, the top row of a shield chart, what did Agrippa or pseudo-Agrippa just say? Right here, and these 8 figures do make the 8 houses of heaven here. The top row of the shield chart, that is, the 4 mothers and the 4 daughters make the first 8 houses of heaven, okay? So the 4 mothers make 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th houses, and then the 4 daughters make the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th houses. And then the next row, the 4 nieces make the last 4 houses. So, in these 8 now we're reading Agrippa, or pseudo-Agrippa, on geomancy here. And again, there's a text from the 16th century. And these 8 figures do make 8 houses of heaven after this manner, by placing the figures from the left hand towards the right, as the 4 mothers do make the 4 first houses. So the four filii or daughters do make the four following houses, like I just said, which are the fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth houses. And the rest of the houses are found after this manner. That is to say, out of the first and second is derived the ninth, out of the third and fourth the 10th, out of the fifth and sixth the 11th, out of the seventh and eighth the 12th. By the combination or joining together of the two figures according to the rule of the even or uneven number in the remaining points of each figure. So the four nieces, like I said, okay? That is to say, the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, two figures which they call coadjutrices or tresses, out of which two is also one constituted, which is called the index of the whole figure or thing quesited, as appeareth in this example following. Okay. And this which we have declared is the common manner observed by geomancers, which we do not altogether reject neither extol. Therefore this is also to be considered in our judgments. Now therefore I shall give unto you the true figure of geomancy according to the right constitution of astrological reason, which is thus. As the former mothers or matres do make the four angles of an house, the first maketh the first angle, the second angle, the third maketh the third angle, and the fourth angle. So the four filii or daughters arising from the mothers do constitute the four succeedent houses. The first maketh the second house, the second the 11th, the third the 8th, the fourth maketh the first house. The rest of the houses, which are cadence, are to be calculated according to the rule of their triplicity. That is to say, by making the 9th out of the 4th and 5th, and the 6th out of the 10th and 2nd, and the 7th and the 11th, the 3rd, and of the 4th and 8th, the 12th. Now here Agrippa is showing that there are multiple ways to do things, okay? He showed us the main way, which is like we use. It's very simple. 4 mothers, first 4 houses. 4 daughters, next 4 houses, first 8 houses of heaven. Then the 4 nieces, the last 4 houses, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th. Very simple. Now Agrippa is showing there are other ways to do it, okay? Again, he's showing several ways to do things. And now you have the whole figure of true judgment, okay? But he's showing different ways that you can get a house chart. You can get a house chart from these figures, okay? And now you have the whole figure of true judgment constituted according to the true and efficacious reasons, whereby I shall show you how you can complete it. The figure which shall be in the first house shall give you the sign ascending, which is the first figure showeth, which being done you shall attribute their signs to the rest of their houses according to the order of the signs. Then in every house you shall note the planets according to the nature of the figure. Then from all these you shall build your judgment according to the signification of the planets and the signs and houses wherein they shall be found, and according to their aspects among themselves, and to the place of the querent and thing quesited, and you shall judge according to the natures of the signs ascending in their houses, and according to the natures and proprieties of the figures which they have placed in the several houses, and according to the commixture of other figures aspecting them, the index of the figure which the geomancers for the most part have made, how it is found in the former figure. But here we shall give you the secret of the whole art, to find out the index in the subsequent figure, which is thus, that you number all the points which are contained in the lines of the projections, and this you shall divide by 12. And that which remaineth project from the ascendant by the several houses, and upon which house there falleth a final unity. That figure giveth you a competent judgment of the thing quesited, and this together with the significations of the judgments aforesaid. But if on either part they shall be equal or ambiguous, then the index alone shall certify you of the thing quesited. The example of this figure is here placed. Okay? It remaineth now that we declare of what thing and to what house a question doth appertain. Then what every figure doth show or signify concerning all questions in every house. First, therefore, we shall handle the significations of the houses, which are these. The first house. Now we're getting into house charts, okay? Again, we are reading a 16th century book on geomancy, okay? We're doing this together. I thank all of y'all for joining me, and we're working through this together, okay? The first house showeth the person of the querent, okay? So the first house represents the querent. The first house showeth the person of the querent. As often as a question shall be proposed concerning himself of his own matters, or anything appertaining to him, and this house declareth the judgment of the life, form, fate, condition, habit, disposition, form, and figure, and the color of men. The second house, now we're on the second house. The second house containeth the judgment of substance, riches, poverty, gain, and loss, good fortune, and evil fortune, and of accidents in substance, as theft, loss, or negligence. The third house signifieth brethren, sisters, and collaterals in blood. It judgeth of small journeys and fidelities of men. The fourth house signifies fathers and grandfathers, patrimony and inheritance, possessions, buildings, fields, treasure, and things hidden. It giveth also the description of those who want anything by theft, losing, and negligence. The fifth house giveth judgment of legates, messengers, rumors, news, of honors, and of accidents after death, and of questions that may be propounded concerning women with child or creatures pregnant. The sixth house giveth judgment of infirmities and medicines, of familiars and servants, of cattle and domestic animals. The seventh house signifies wedlock, whoredom, and fornication. Rendereth judgment of friends, strifes, and controversies, and of matters acted before judges. The eighth house has signification of death, and of those things which come by death, of legates and hereditaments, of the dowry or portion of a wife. The ninth house showeth journeys, faith, and constancy, dreams, divine sciences, and religion. The 10th house hath signification of honors and of magisterial offices. The 11th house signifies friends and substance of princes. The 12th house signifies enemies, servants, imprisonment, and misfortune, and whatsoever evil can happen besides death and sickness, the judgments whereof are to be required in the 6th house and in the 8th. It rests now that we show you what every figure before spoken of signifieth in these places, which we shall now unfold. Now it's going to start getting interesting, because now as we work through the future episodes of Agrippa, we're going to start working through each of these 16 geomantic figures through all 12 of the houses, okay? So, as you can see, the 12 houses are contained in the top 2 rows of any shield chart. You have your 12 houses, and the 4 mothers, 4 daughters, and 4 nieces. Again, 4 times 3 is 12. The 4 mothers, the 4 daughters, and the 4 nieces compose the 12 houses of a house chart. Then you have the 2 witnesses and the judge. Makes for a very good way of reading, and you got your house chart. Now, I'm going to be showing you in the upcoming episodes, we're going to work through each of the 16 geomantic figures through all 12 houses, and we'll look at their meanings. And again, our source is a 16th century text on geomancy, one that's actually associated with Agrippa. Now, whether or not Agrippa actually wrote the text is debatable, okay? Most scholars think that Agrippa did not write this, okay? That this is pseudo-Agrippa, okay? That it's pseudo-Agrippa. But, whatever the case may be, it's associated with Agrippa, and it showed up like 30 years after his death. So Agrippa died, I think, in 1535. He died like 2 years after his 3 books of occult philosophy. So I think it was in 1565. It was in 1565. It was like 30 years later. This text appears on Geomancy. This still dates to the 1500s, okay? So whether or not Agrippa wrote this book, it still dates to the 1500s. It's very old. This book dates back to the time of William Shakespeare, back to the 1500s. Henry Cornelius Agrippa of Geomancy, okay? Henry Cornelius Agrippa of Geomancy. All right, this is one of the 6 texts that were included in the 4th book of occult philosophy. The 4th book, all right? Whether the 4th book was actually written by Agrippa or not, it includes 6 treatises, 2 of them on geomancy. All of these works are from the 1500s. All of them are works of the 1500s, okay? So you have the Arbitel, you have the 2 different books on geomancy, one of which we're reading right now and studying. You have a book on the nature of spirits, and then you have the 4th book proper that kind of puts more of in like a practical context. The 3 books of occult philosophy. Okay. But today we're talking about pseudo-Agrippa or Agrippa on geomancy. Okay. There's a 16th century work on geomancy, which is what we're working through in these videos. I will give links. If you want to purchase a book. I'll give links to those if you want to purchase them on Amazon. By the way, if I do provide links in the comments, usually I'll pin them to the top, links of recommended reading, or in the description. If you do click one of my Amazon links, and I do put, for full disclosure, I put hashtag ad, hashtag ad. Just full disclosure, if you do click one of my Amazon links to buy a book, I do get a commission off of that. Okay, so that's part of my monetization. So full disclosure, my links are monetized. If you buy one of the books using my Amazon links, I do get a commission from that. All right. So those are monetized links. If you buy using my Amazon links, that is money towards my channel. Okay. So, if you want to support my work. So Henry Cornelius Agrippa on geomancy. Okay. So this book, the next part of it is going to start going through all of the figures. Okay. Working through the figures and working through all 16 geomantic figures in the 12 houses of the zodiac. Okay. So how are y'all doing today? Okay. Are y'all going to make a figure with me? Or shall we make a whole chart? What shall we do? Should we make a whole chart together? What do you think? We're going to make a whole chart. So, sirs and madams, here's what we're going to do. If you've been watching my videos so far, every day we've been drawing a geomantic figure. Okay, every day we've been drawing a geomantic figure. Today, I'm going to build a shield chart with you so that once you leave this video, you will have done your own shield chart. Okay, we're going to do this together. You're going to need to do 4 geomantic figures, 4 figures, okay? So anyone that is watching these videos, I encourage you to think of a question. Okay, think of a question, and we're going to draw 4 figures, okay? So, we're going to work through this together. We're going to do a shield chart together, okay? So, think of a question, and we're going to draw 4 figures, okay? I'll be right back. Okay, I'm actually gonna get some coffee. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do an intermission, you know? Let me see here. Alright, y'all. Heck yeah, how are y'all doing this evening? Hold on just a second, y'all. Hell yeah. Alright. So we're gonna do a little break and then we're gonna do a shield chart together. It's gonna be epic. It's gonna be great. Alright, we're gonna do a shield chart together. I'm gonna walk y'all through this. So give me a 5-minute intermission, okay? Give me a 5-minute intermission, and I will be right back, y'all. 5-minute intermission, and we're gonna do a shield chart together, okay? So here we go, y'all. Alright, so we're gonna do a brief intermission, and then we're gonna go through this. Alright? And just so y'all know, yeah, I'll be right back. Thank you. Quick break, y'all. We'll be right back after this message from Nurse Bank. Okay, I'll be right back. right. Here we are. All right, y'all. Let me take a look here. I'm just going to send a message thing real quick. Hold on just a second here. Let's send a quick message. Okay, so here we are. So now we are going to work through now we're going to work through a shield chart, okay? Now we're going to work through a shield chart. Very simple, very easy, okay? So first of all, we're going to draw 4 figures. Now, first of all, actually, you need to know how to make a shield chart, okay? So this is the first things first. Making of a shield chart, okay? So we're going to do this together. Okay, hold on just a second here. All right, y'all. Give me just a minute here. All right. Here we go, y'all. So, the making of a shield chart, okay? Very simple. Alright? So, first things first. Making of a shield chart. Alright, first things first. You're going to need to make a shield. Now, a shield, okay? So, a shield looks like this, okay? A shield. So first of all, you're going to take a piece of paper and a pen, and you're going to make a big thing like this, okay? It looks like a badge. It's very crudely done, pardon my poor handwriting, but basically a shield, okay? It's like a crest or a coat of arms, so it's round, and then it's a line on top. You make a shield, okay? So now you're going to divide that shield in half, okay? So it's going to be in 2 sections. Alright, so now you have a shield in 2 sections. And now you're going to divide each of those into 2 sections. Alright, so you're going to have 4 sections all together. Alright, so just like a geomantic figure has 4 lines, in the same way as a geomantic figure has 4 lines, the shield chart has 4 rows, okay? In the same way that a geomantic figure has 4 lines, you can think of a shield chart having 4 rows, okay? The bottom row is the judge. That is 1. You want 1 judge, okay? There's 2 witnesses. So, and 1 times 2, one doubled is 2. So the very bottom row is 1. The next row up is 2. Actually, we can divide the whole, so the next row up is 2. Actually, we can divide the whole figure above the bottom, okay? So from the 1, you can divide the whole figure. So 1 doubled is 2. So the next row up is 2. There are 2 witnesses. So there's 1 judge and 2 witnesses. The third row, 2, what is 2 doubled? 2 doubled is 4. So now we divide all of these up into 4, okay? So now we have 1, 2, 4. The top row is divided into halves again, that's 8. Okay? So the very top row is 8. So what you have here is 4 rows. And each time it is doubled. Again, it kind of goes with like the binary or the on and off type of thing, okay? So 1, 2, 4, and 8. 1, 2, 4, and 8. So the bottom of the shield chart is 1 judge. There are 2 witnesses. There are 4 nieces. and then the top is 8. And it's 4 mothers and 4 daughters, and then 4 nieces, and then there's the left and right witness, and then there's the judge. And this is the making of a shield chart. So, for those of you at home that want to do a shield chart reading with me, okay? If you have a pen and paper, we're going to do this together, okay? You're going to do your first shield chart today in this video. If you've never made a shield chart before, we're going to do it in this video. And so at the end of this video, you'll know that you are a geomancer. In fact, you've done your own chart. You built it out, okay? So first of all, you need to write this down. This is the shield. This is where we're going to place the reading. Normally in my videos, we just draw one geomantic figure and that answers the question. So we've been doing that daily in my videos, draw one figure. Here we're going to do 4 figures and I'm going to show you how to put this into the shield chart, okay? So if you guys are watching later on, this doesn't apply if it's live. If you're watching later, feel free to pause the video and write this down. So feel free to pause the video if you need to, or if you're watching live, if you have a pen and paper, you're going to need to jot down this image, okay? We are going to make this into a chart. All right? So if y'all at home, if you have a pen and paper, just mark this chart down. There's 1 at the bottom, and above that is 2. Above that is 4, and the top row is 8. Okay? So the shield chart. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do a reading based on a shield chart. Okay, here we go. So we're going to make a much larger one now. So here we are. Here we are. A little magical Bob Ross time, you know? Little magical Bob Ross time. All right. So again, we want, so you take a shield. If you're doing this with me, you got your shield on your piece of paper, okay? You got your shield on your piece of paper. Step 1, cut it in half or put a line across the middle of it, okay? It's in half. Wow, that line was wonky. Okay, yep. Bob Ross, okay? You put it in half, okay? Step 2, put each of these into half, okay? So this bottom half, put it in half. This top half, put it in half. And what you have is 4 rows. So the shield has 4 rows, much like the 4 lines of a geomantic figure. The bottom is always 1. That's the judge. So you leave that alone. The second row up, you want to be 2. Okay? There are 2 witnesses. The next one up, what is 2 doubled? So 1 doubled is 2. What is 2 doubled? It's 4. So you want the next line up to be 4. Okay? All right? You want the next line up to be 4. Now, so here we have 1, 2, and 4. Now, what is 4 doubled? 4 doubled is 8. Okay, so you want the top line to be composed of 8 squares. Okay? So that is how a shield chart is made. Again, 1, 2, 4, and 8. Okay? And just this, just your top right 4 are actually going to be the figures that you actually trace and draw. When you draw your 4 geomantic figures, that's just the 4 mothers that go in this top 4, right 4 is the 4 mothers. From these 4 figures, you're going to build out a whole chart, okay? And I'm going to show you how this goes into astrology and everything else, okay? So, first thing is first, okay? First things first, I want y'all to think of a question, okay? We're going to think of a question, and we're going to do some a Renaissance magic today. We're going to do a geomantic chart. Okay. How are y'all doing tonight? Y'all doing okay? All right. Oh, Amanda says, oh my God, I'm on the live. Hot damn. I've been watching since 2016 and never thought this would happen. Well, thank you, Amanda. It's definitely a pleasure to have you on here, and that's really cool. Yep, since 2016. Wow, you've been watching my videos since 28 years. 8 years you've been watching my content. Well, it's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you so much. And now I'm making videos 5 days a week. Actually, 6. On Sundays, I do a video in Spanish. But 5 days a week, I do something in English. Okay, 5 days a week, I'm now doing content. I don't know what something struck within me, Something happened. I think I know exactly what happened, but yeah. Definitely like working with the Shim Angels and stuff. But yeah, I do it 5 days a week. This is all that I do now. This is my job. This is my full-time focus. I just put my focus in my videos now. That's all that I do. I just put my focus here. I don't do this and then go do something else. No, I just do this. This is my focus, okay? Everything goes into these videos now. So now, if you've been watching my videos since 2016, we'll get ready for inshallah, if everything according to the grand plan, of everything happens, then there should be 20 videos a month, That's my plan, Now, there is the old Yahoo formula. For those of you that practice modern math, there is the Yahoo formula, okay? Isis, Apophis, Osiris, we go through that Apophis phase. I'm just going to have to push through, okay? Because this is my plan. This is what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to make videos for y'all. So I've been making at least an hour a day. At least an hour. Usually an hour and a half, 2 hours, okay? Of my videos a day, 5 days a week. Heck yeah. All right, y'all. So, we have our shield chart, okay? For those of y'all that just want to listen to the videos, that's fine. There's no right or wrong way to watch my videos. So, there's no right or wrong way to watch my videos. Whatever people are comfortable with. However, I really recommend that people do these exercises because it helps them to develop, okay? So a shield chart, this is the shield chart. It's divided into 4 rows. The bottom row is 1. The second row up is 2. The third row up is 4. The top row is 8. Okay? And this is going to be the shield chart. And it could also be used as a house chart. Alright? So what we are going to do is we're going to draw 4 geomantic figures. Now, I'll be right back. Okay, hold on. Let me get something, and we're going to work through this together. Now, if you're at home, think of a question and draw 4 figures. So that's what we're going to do right now. I'm going to go get something for drawing my own figures. But if you're there at home, you can go ahead and start doing that now in the video. If you want to now start tracing your figures, I'm just going to go get something. I'm going to start drawing mine, okay? So start drawing your figures. Think of a question and draw your 4 geomantic figures, okay? So basically, let's look at it this way. What we did in the beginning of our videos is everyone drew 1 figure, and it works like this. Take a pen and paper, draw a row of dots, dot, 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 a row, then draw a second row of dots, dot, 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 like pen and paper. Okay, and then a third row, do 4 rows of dots. Now, you're going to count the number of dots in each row. If it's an odd number of dots, it becomes 1 dot in your geomantic figure. If it's an even number of dots in each row, it becomes 2 dots in your geomantic figure. And thus a geomantic figure is produced. Okay. Here we're going to do that. I want you to do that 4 times. get 4 different figures while you focus on your question. And these are going to be the 4 mothers, and we're going to put this in the chart. So, those of you that are doing the exercises at home, whether watching live or watching later, I want you to now think of a question, get your pen and paper, and I want you to, all together, you're going to make 16 rows of dots. 16 rows of dots, okay? Because you're going to make 4 rows of dots, makes 1 figure. You're going to make 4 figures, okay? So I want you to think of your question and draw 4 figures, and I'll be right back. Okay. All right, y'all. So here we are. So, and I'm going to do mine with a coin. Yesterday, so I like to mix things up and show people different methods. You could do rows of dots to draw your figures, or you could flip a coin. I'm going to flip a coin. Heads will be 1 dot, and tails will be 2 dots. I'm going to flip it 4 times, and that'll give me 1 figure. I'm going to flip it 4 more times, get the 2nd figure. Flip it 4 more times, get my 3rd figure. Flip it 4 last times and get the 4th figure. This will be my 4 mothers. So, give me just a second here. Let me think of a question. So, y'all at home, we're going to do this together, okay? I'm going to draw my figures and y'all draw your figures, okay? So we're going to do a shield chart together. Think of a question, and I want y'all to draw 4 geomantic figures. Think of a question and draw 4 geomantic figures. We're going to make this into a chart. So here we go. I'm going to think of my question. Okay, let me see here. Okay. Let me see here. All right, so think of a question and draw 4 figures here. All right, y'all. So, here we go. So I thought about my question, and it's always a good idea to write your question down. Write your question down. Now, I thought of my question. Now I'm going to draw my 4 figures. So here we go. All right, so I have 2 of my mothers, okay? So I flipped my coins 8 times so far. I've got 2 figures. Okay, so y'all at home keep thinking of your question and keep drawing your figures. We need 4 mothers. Your 4 geomantic figures. Okay. All right, I'm going to draw my last mother. All right. Do y'all have your mothers yet? Okay, your 4 mothers. So what we did is we drew 4 geomantic figures, and now we're going to make this into a geomantic reading. Hello, Lynn. How are you doing today, this evening? So, in our geomantic readings, I want y'all to make 4 figures, and now we're going to make this into a chart. So, I have my 4 figures. I asked my question. My 4 mothers of my figure are greater fortune. And I already know that that's going to be my first house. So that's my ascendant. The first mother is always going to be your ascendant. Okay, or the first house. So I'm approaching the situation as greater fortune. So that's really good. My first mother is greater fortune. My second mother is acquisitio. And that's second house too. Acquisitio in the second house. That's pretty cool. My third mother is Carcer, and my 4th mother is Puer. So I have my 4 mothers, and this is gonna, so these are the first 4 figures in my shield chart. Okay, now I'm gonna show you how this works here. All right. And what were your 4 mothers? For those of you at home that are have done this, what 4 mothers did y'all get? Feel free, for those of you that would like to share, feel free to put in the comments what were your 4 mothers, okay? And also, did you find, were you able to figure out how to put it in the geomantic chart? Did you need some clarification? Okay, so here we go. So you have your 4 mothers, all right? Now, I'm going to do this a little backwards to how I normally do things, because I want this to be in your perspective. Okay, my camera is a little wonky. My camera does everything reverse, but I'm going to do it from your perspective. So you begin in the top right of your shield chart. The top right of your shield chart is where your 4 mothers go. So you draw 4 geomantic figures, and these 4 geomantic figures go in the top right, that row. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my figures again. These were, hold on a second here. So my figures again were Fortuna Major. All right, so I'm going to put it in your top right row. Go to your top right row on your paper, in my case, I got Fortuna Major. Okay, and your first mother, the first figure of your chart is always going to be your first house, okay? So that represents the querent, that represents you, that's you in the situation, because you always have an impact. The first house or the querent is always important. Now, my second mother is acquisitio, okay? So then I put the second mother there. Okay, so the 4 mothers go in the top right for the 4 in the top right corner of your shield chart are the 4 mothers. Go there, okay? My third mother is going to be Carcer. What did you get? Okay. And then my fourth mother is going to be Puer. Okay. So, here we have the 4 mothers, okay? The 4 mothers. So, like I said, all you have to do is draw 4 geomantic figures, and from these 4 figures, you make a whole chart, okay? So that's it. You're done with making figures, okay? Now you have your figures, your 4 mothers. Now the rest of the figures come out of these 4 mothers. That's why they're called mothers. They're called mothers because all these other squares come out of these 4 figures, okay? So, these 4 slots are called the 4 daughters. So the top right of the shield chart, that's the 4 mothers we just did, the 4 mothers. And in the top left of your chart, these are the 4 daughters. The 4 daughters, okay, the 4 daughters. Now the 4 daughters come out of the 4 mothers. I'll show you how. Remember how I showed you how each and every geomantic figure is composed of 4 lines? Okay, so here is an example. Here we have the image of Puer. As you can see, it's composed of 4 lines. This top line, this is called the headline. The second line is called the neckline. This third line is called the body line, and the bottom line is called the feet line. Or these could be ascribed to fire, air, water, and earth. So there are 4 lines of each figure, which are either 1 or 2. This applies to each and every figure. So the headline is the top line. So the first mother is composed of the headlines of all 4 mothers. So the first daughter is composed of the headlines of all 4 mothers. So here, the head of the first mother is 2. So the top of the first daughter is also 2. The head of the second mother is also 2. So then 2 is the neck of the first daughter. The head of the third mother is 1. So the body of the first daughter is 1. And then the head of the fourth mother is 1. So the feet of the first daughter is 1. Now we go on to the second daughter. The second daughter is composed of all of the necks of the 4 mothers. So the neck of the first mother is 2. So the head of the second daughter is 2. The neck of the second mother is 1, so then 1, etc., etc. All of the necklines are placed to become the second daughter. Now, the body lines of all 4 mothers are put together to become the third daughter. Okay? So in my case, that's 1, 2, 2, 2. In my case, that would be Letitia. Okay, and then the feet of all 4 mothers becomes the fourth daughter. So I have 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, so I have Via. Now, now we have the 4 mothers and the 4 daughters. And these, according to Agrippa, which we read earlier, actually make the 4 8 houses of heaven. So the first 4 mothers make the first 4 houses. So here you already know that whatever figure is here is the first house, their second, third, fourth house, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, the 8 houses of heaven, like in the zodiac, okay, like a natal chart. And the 4 nieces make the last 4 houses, so the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th houses, okay? And the 4 nieces are derived by adding these together. So, here I have Letitia and Via. Adding these together, 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 is an even number, so 2 is the headline of the first of this niece. Okay? All right. Nope, I'm doing this from your perspective. So 2 and 2 is 2. 2 and 2 is 4. 4 is an even number, so that becomes 2 as the head of the first niece. Okay. 2 and 1 is 3. 3 is an odd number, so that's 1. So the neck of the first niece is 1. 2 and 1 and 2 is 3. 3 again is 1. Odd number is a 1, is the body of the first niece. And then 1 and 1 is 2. 2 is even number, so that's 2. So the first niece is conjunctio, okay? Because I've added the first two mothers together to get conjunctio, all right? Now, I'm going to add the third and fourth mothers together to get the second niece. So, looking at the headlines of the two figures, 1 and 1 is 2. 2 is even, so the head of the second niece is 2. Adding the necks of the third and fourth mothers, 2 and 1 is 3. 3 is an odd number, so that's 1. The neck of the second niece is 1. And then I add 2 and 2 is 4. That's even. So the body is 2. And then 1 and 1 is 2. That's, oops. So the second niece in this case would be Rubius. Okay, Rubius. Now I'm going to add the first and second daughters together. Okay, and we're going to get the third niece. So 2 and 2 is 4. That's an even number, so that's 2. 2 and 1 is 3, which is an odd number, which is 1. 1 and 2 is an odd number, so 1. And then 1 and 1 is 2, so there we go. So conjunctio again. And now the fourth niece we're going to get by adding the third and fourth mother's daughters together. So 1 and 1 is 2. 2 and that's 1. 1 and 1. So here we have Caput Draconis, okay? So now we're going to add the two nieces, and now we have the first 12 houses of heaven, okay, in this shield chart, okay? This is Renaissance divination. So what we have here is following in order from the top right of your shield chart, you have the first house, the second house, third house, fourth house. They're filled with figures now. If you went through this, they're filled with geomantic figures. All the way to the 8th house, and then 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th houses. So whatever figures you have here, you have a house chart. Okay? So you can look at, whatever you asked about, what I asked about, I'm going to put... Yeah. Okay, that's cool. So what you basically do is you look at the house of the Quesidid and of the Querent. The first mother is always going to be the house of the Querent. The house of the Quesidid is the house that governs your question. Okay, so if you asked about love or romance, you would now look at the 7th house. Now the 7th house can be found by looking at the third daughter. Okay, the 7th house. That's a romance. Maybe you want to look at, maybe your reading is about your career and your job. Your career and your job is the 10th house. The 10th house can be found by looking at the second niece. Okay. So again, the house chart's found in the shield chart, but then on top of that, you have the two witnesses and the judge. So let's say the question you want to know about work, and that's in the 6th house. Well, you can look at the second daughter, and then look at the first house, and then look at the second daughter. What figure do you have? So basically, the four mothers, the four daughters, and the four nieces together make the 12 houses. Okay, and your geomantic readings, you have the 12 houses. Now we can derive the two witnesses and the judge, okay, to give a more definitive view for your reading, either for yourself or your clients. So what we do is we add the first and second nieces are going to be added together, okay, and this is going to give you your right witness, and then your third and fourth nieces added together, and that's going to give you your left witness. And then these witnesses are going to be added together to give you your judge. So here we have, so my first witness in your right side of your shield chart, okay. My first niece and second niece. For me, that these are conjunctio and rubeus. I'm going to add them together. So adding the headlines of the two figures, conjunctio has 2 for the head and rubeus has 2 for the head. 2 and 2 is 4, and 4 is an even number, and so even numbers become 2. So the head of my geomantic figure, of my right witness, is going to be 2. Now I add the necks. Conjunctio, the neck of conjunctio has 1, and the neck of rubeus has 1. So 1 and 1 is 2. 2 again is an even number, and even numbers become 2. So the neck of my right witness is going to be 2. Now I add the body line, or the third line of the two figures. Conjunctio has 1 for the body line, and rubeus has 2. So 1 and 2 is 3. 3 is an odd number. Odd numbers become 1. So the body of my right witness is 1. And then I add the feet line, or the bottom line of the two figures, conjunctio and rubeus. So the feet line, or the bottom line of conjunctio is 2. And the bottom or feet line of rubeus is 2. 2 and 2 is 4. 4 is an even number, which becomes 2. So the feet of my of this figure is 2. So here I have Albus as my right witness. Albus is my right witness, okay? And now we go to the left witness. The left witness is derived by adding together the third and fourth nieces, okay? So in my case, I have conjunctio and caput draconis, okay? So first I'm going to add the headlines. 2 and 2 is 4. 4 is an even number, so the head of my left witness is 2. Okay? The neck of conjunctio is 1, and the neck of caput draconis is 1, so that's 2. 1 and 1 is 2. Okay? And then the body line of the two figures, each one is 1, so 1 and 1 is 2. So 2. And then the feet line, 2 and 1 is 3. 3 is an odd number, which odd numbers become 1. So my left witness is going to be Tristitia. So I have Albus and Tristitia. Now, to get the judge, you now add the two witnesses together. So, how many dots are in the headlines? So the right witness, Albus, 2 has 2 for the headline, and the left witness, Tristitia, has 2 for the headline. 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 is an even number, so the head of my judge is 2. The neckline, or second line, of my right judge is 2, and of my left judge is 2. 2 and 2 is 4. 4 is an even number. So even numbers become 2, so the neck of my judge is also 2. And then it's almost like a scratch off, as you keep going, you see, what am I going to get, So we're going to look at the body line, the third line down. So in Albus, it's 1, and then Tristitia, it's 2. 1 and 2 is 3. 3 is an odd number. Odd numbers become 1. And then now we're going to go to the very bottom, or the feet line. 2 and 1 is 3. 3 is an odd number. Odd numbers become 1. So the judge of my whole figure is Fortuna Major. Now, what did you get? Did you guys follow along? This is kind of new material for me. I'm going to be totally honest with y'all, my audience here, that this is new material, like trying to teach like this, but I'm doing this 5 days a week, trying to bring out material for y'all, but I need to know if things are clear. So the top right of your shield chart are the 4 mothers. From the 4 mothers, all the other figures derive. The 4 daughters come out of that. And then 4 nieces. There are 4 mothers, 4 daughters, and 4 nieces. And these make the 12 houses of heaven. And by adding these together, you get the 2 witnesses and then the judge. Now, the judge is kind of like the final say or whatever. This is like it's almost like drawing one geomantic figure to answer a question. The 2 witnesses give more insight. Now, the right judge represents the querent and everything that the querent brings to the situation. I'm Albus here. I'm Albus here. Heck yeah, yo. So the querent here, the right judge, is Albus, in my case. What's what you bring to the table. The left witness represents everything the quesited or the situation brings to the table. The situation in this case, Tristitia. So that's interesting. And then the interaction between them is going to be Fortuna Major, okay? And Fortuna Major certainly softens the Tristitia aspect, and then Albus, those are positive figures, so you look at what's around it. But altogether also, Albus, and also the right witness represents the querent and the past. The left witness represents the quesited and the future, and the judge represents the present and the interaction of the 2, okay? And then you could follow the ways of the points. Following the ways of the points, you look to see if the top of the judge has 1 or 2 points, and then see if one of the witnesses matches that. And then you follow it up to look for hidden causes, okay? I'll make more videos on that. But already what you have here is you have all 12 houses of the zodiac. So think of your question. First go to the first house. This is what you bring to the table. I bring to the table Fortuna Major. Okay? All right? And then you look to where you're trying to ask about. Think of the house. If you're asking about love or relationships, look at the 7th house, which would be found here in the 3rd daughter. If you're wanting to know about career finances is the question, look at the first house, of course, always look at the querent, and then look at the quesitive, which would be in the 10th house. Okay, the 10th house, career, or the 6th house for work. That'd be the 2nd daughter. So as you can see, you have all 12 houses of the zodiac, plus 2 witnesses and a judge. And so that there's a lot that you can do to build out a reading. And then also, each one of these forms a triplicity, okay? So that the first and second mother and the first niece, these represent the querent, and each one represents a right and left witness and a judge, okay? The third and fourth mother and then the second niece, these form a second triplicity that represent events going on in the life of the querent at that time. And each of these represent a right and left witness and a judge. And then the third triplicity is composed of the first and second daughters and the third niece. And these represent the work and environment, work and home environment. And then the third and fourth daughters and the fourth niece together make the fourth triplicity that represent associates, colleagues, friends, family, things like that, authority figures, and each of these represent like 2 witnesses and a judge. So as you can see, there's so much that you can do with the geomantic chart and geomantic readings. Geomantic readings, I find them to be very quick, very easy to get way to get answer. You don't have to carry around tarot decks with you or crystal balls or runes everywhere you go to give a reading. All you need is a pen and paper. If you have a pen and paper or even a stick and dirt in the ground, you can do a geomantic reading. Very simple, very quick. Geomancy can be used to communicate with planetary intelligences or spirits. So you can call you can draw the sigil of a spirit or intelligence of a planet listed in Agrippa that governs the question, such as asking the intelligence of Venus, Hagiel, to about love matters, or you could ask Yophiel, the intelligence of Jupiter, and trace the sigil of that spirit or entity, and ask Yophiel, intelligence of Jupiter, about your career change or your job promotion. Or you can ask Nachiel, the intelligence of the sun. So again, this is bringing the magic of the 3 books of Agrippa to life. You're actually communicating. You're using Renaissance and medieval method of divination to communicate with planetary spirits and intelligences. What you have is basically essentially a language based on astrology and the elemental language to communicate with spirits. Okay, this is an alphabet. This is a way to communicate with spirits. Or Agrippa says, or Pseudo-Agrippa says, even communicate with your own soul. So the 16 geomantic figures, okay, 16 geomantic figures, this could be used to communicate with earth elementals or terrestrial spirits, as Agrippa says, or it could be used to communicate with the spirits of astrology, or with your own higher self, geomancy, okay, geomancy. So I'm going to be making a lot more videos with that. So if you guys have been following me in my videos, and I'm gonna add some links. I'm gonna add links to the video. When I do add some links, I'm gonna add some Amazon links. Now the links that I do provide are commissioned links, meaning if people do purchase the books, click in the links that I provide, then I do get a commission. Full disclosure there, and I put #ad. Whenever I have a commission link, it's #ad, just because I like to let people know, what they're doing. So we've been reading through Agrippa or Pseudo-Agrippa on geomancy. Okay, and now we've gotten all the way up. Today we just blasted through the book. We've gotten all the way up to where we read through all 16 geomantic figures in the 12 houses. So that's pretty cool. And then today we went over again, and then in yesterday's video as well, we go over the 12 houses and how to make a shield chart. So, how's everyone doing today? I hope everyone's doing excellently well, okay? And we're going to be through with Agrippa here pretty soon. But everyone, once we get through this series of videos, all of y'all should be geomancers, okay? And all of y'all should be pretty damn familiar with what Agrippa or Pseudo-Agrippa had to say on geomancy in the 16th century, in the 1500s, okay? Y'all should all be well familiar with this book, Agrippa or Pseudo-Agrippa on geomancy. Y'all should be familiar. You should know how to do a geomantic chart. We should have distilled all of the wisdom that could be found in Agrippa on geomancy. We should distill all the knowledge from this in these videos. And then we're going to go on to the next thing. Wherever shall we be led to go? Where shall we be led to go? I'm going to ride off in sunset into the next signature, the next, what do you call it, subject. Yeah? Go on into the next thing. Just going to non-stop Magic University. How's that sound, y'all? Non-stop, 24 hours a day Magic University. We're going to make it happen, y'all. And that's what we're going to get with the Tallis and McKnight show. All right. So that is, that's pretty much it. That's with Agrippa. All right. And I think that we're making pretty good headway, if I don't say so myself, We're getting all the way up to, we got all the way up to where now it's starting to list off the 16 geomantic figures and go through the 12 houses with each one of those, okay? And then we may continue on to Agrippa, the 4th book of occult philosophy proper. I also have plans to work through the Sefer Yetzirah. Okay, we're going to go through some Sefer Yetzirah and go through some Kabbalistic texts. We can do the Corpus Hermeticum. We can go more into the Hermetica, the Book of Enoch. Okay, there's so much that we can go through. And of course, I plan for us to gradually, piece by piece, okay, piece by piece, I plan for us to work through Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy. Okay, we're going to be going through Agrippa's 3 books of occult philosophy. We're going to make it happen, y'all. It's going to be great. Okay, so there's so much that we can go into. Each day we're going to be distilling some of this ancient knowledge, and I don't know. I all I can say is that I feel happy. I feel blessed that every day we can talk about some of this ancient magic and just explore it. Go a little deeper. Go a little bit deeper. Maybe we see something that we didn't see before the last time we read the text. It's awesome. So yeah. So this is Tuesday, very late. Look, if I can make myself pump out an hour, 2 hours a day for 5 days a week, that's pretty good in itself. But like trying to push it an exact time, I'm not going to lie. In some ways, I'm very disciplined. In some ways, it'll just... If I can just make myself put out an hour, 2 hours of content 5 days a week, I mean, wow. But pushing it on an exact schedule or a morning schedule, I entered in with good intentions, but it looks like it's going to be just a daily video, whenever I'm able to do it. But that's also good for me, that I have a fear that it's going to be disorienting for my viewers because they don't know when to watch me, okay? And I know people want to watch me live, so there is that aspect. But the other aspect of it is a lot of work that I'm doing for free, an hour, 2 hours of content, and I have to do it when I feel ready and when there's nothing else going on in the day, and I'm able to really put like my full focus into the video. And I found that I can't always predict that in a certain time, Maybe eventually as I continue to work through this, I'll be able to have like a set time. But for now, at least if I can produce like a video 5 days a week, on point 5 days a week, and it's like an hour a day, I mean, And then later on, I'll be able to do it like more, disciplined with time. But 5 days a week, there should be a new video coming out, okay? So that is, we're working a little further on in our Geomancy series, Agrippa on Geomancy. And we're going to work through some of these magical classics with y'all. All right. So I think that's it for today, and we're going to have some more videos coming out. Let me see here. Amanda says, great, lots of notes. Thank you for the presentation. Well, thank you. It is a pleasure to have you here with me. Absolute pleasure. Oh, Amanda says, via Cauda Draconis, Acquisitio, and Rubius. Okay. So that's good that you're actually you drew your 4 mothers. If you draw the 4 mothers, then like I said, the 4 mothers go in the top right of your shield chart, and from that you build out the whole chart. So many things you can do with that. You could look at the judge and the 2 witnesses. You could look at the 12 houses. So much you can do with a shield chart and a house chart. Like I said, the rest of this text that we're reading, Agrippa or Pseudo-Agrippa on Geomancy, his book on Geomancy, the rest of this book that we're reading is just basically looking at the 16 geomantic figures and all 12 of the houses. Okay, for those using a house chart, they can look at each geomantic reading through all 12 of the houses. So, we're making a lot of progress with our geomantic readings. Like I said, I can't really say like necessarily what time, but each day there should be new. So anytime you look, each day you should check and there should be a new video. Okay, you wake up or you get off work, whatever. You wake up, there should be a new video. So, that's what we're doing. So again, I'm going to put links and everything to the books for those of you that want to read along. Agrippa is the 4th book of occult philosophy. Stephen Skinner has an excellent version of the Agrippa's 4th book that has all this. Excuse me. Just a second here. So Stephen Skinner has an excellent version of this. Stephen Skinner. And then Donald Tyson also has his 4th book of Agrippa. And then, of course, we have this edition, which I hold in my hands, for anyone that's interested in that. I'll actually provide links with all 3. And like I said, the Amazon links that I provide are commissioned links. I'm going to add that here in a minute when I add the description and stuff. Yep, so I guess that's it for how long has it been? It's been an hour and a half. All right, y'all. So I guess I'll see y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have more comment. If you're just now coming into the lives, then check back here in a few minutes and it should be rendered and you'll be able to watch it from the beginning. I hope everyone's having a wonderful night tonight, having a wonderful magical night, and yep. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful day, and I really do appreciate all of you that drop by to say hello, that come by to watch me live and drop by to say hello. And yep, thank you very much for watching my content. I really do appreciate y'all, and I hope all of you have a wonderful day. Have a great evening. Have a great day, y'all. Bye, y'all. Thank you.